The GPS recalculated without warning. No alert, no explanation, just a soft electronic chime, followed by a new instruction that didn't match what we were seeing through the windshield. The road ahead narrowed suddenly, the painted lines fading into nothing, the streetlights stopping as if someone had decided this was far enough. According to the screen, we were still on a state highway. According to our headlights, we weren't. The asphalt thinned into a single strip of road, uneven and cracked, with trees pressing in on both sides. There were no signs, no reflective markers, no indication that this road had ever been maintained or even officially existed. And yet the GPS spoke with certainty, guiding us forward as if this route were normal. We didn't stop. At first, none of us said anything. That's important. Silence tends to stretch in cars late at night, especially when everyone is tired and just wants to get home. But the silence changed here. It wasn't comfortable. It felt intentional, like each of us was waiting for someone else to acknowledge what was wrong. The GPS recalculated again. The estimated arrival time didn't change. 3 hours away. It had been 3 hours away for the last 40 minutes. The radio crackled, then went dead. The dashboard clock blinked once and reset itself. Our phones lost signal almost simultaneously, not gradually, but all at once. 4 screens going blank within the same second. Still, the GPS continued to speak. Continue straight for 12 miles. There was no intersection, no shoulder, no place to turn around. The trees leaned closer the farther we drove, their branches arching overhead, blocking out what little moonlight there was. The road dipped and twisted, never sharply enough to justify the turns, just enough to keep us from seeing more than a few yards ahead. That was when the road sign appeared. It stood alone on the right side, metal bent, paint peeling, its reflective surface catching our headlights at the last second. No symbol, no destination, just a number, a route designation none of us recognized. We passed it. Minutes later, we passed it again. Same scratches, same bent post, same chipped corner at the bottom. No one laughed, no one suggested we were mistaken. By then, the car felt smaller, the air heavier, as if sound itself had trouble moving. The GPS recalculated a third time, and this time the voice hesitated just slightly before giving the next instruction. Continue straight. There was nowhere else to go. What none of us understood yet was that the GPS wasn't guiding us forward. It was keeping us exactly where we were.
This is one of the most disturbing road trip experiences I've ever heard. And not because of what happened all at once, but because of how slowly it revealed itself. At the time, we still believed there was a rational explanation: fatigue, a mapping error, a temporary service issue. Those explanations mattered because accepting them meant we didn't have to confront the alternative. The GPS spoke again. Same direction, same distance, same arrival time. 3 hours away. We checked the fuel gauge. It hadn't moved, not even a fraction. The engine sounded normal, steady, as if it had been idling instead of carrying us deeper into unfamiliar territory. The speedometer hovered just under 50 miles per hour, yet the trees outside crawled past as if we were moving much slower. That discrepancy didn't register immediately. What did register was the absence of everything else. No mailboxes, no driveways, no wildlife, no sound beyond the tires on the road. Even the night insects were gone. The road continued to narrow until the edges dissolved into dirt. Our headlights struggled to define where the pavement ended and the forest began. Every few minutes, the GPS recalculated, and each time it did, the screen briefly flickered, not off, just dim enough to notice. That's when someone finally said it. This road isn't on the map. The GPS screen showed a clean blue line stretching forward, uninterrupted, confident. But when we zoomed out, there was nothing else around it. No intersecting roads, no nearby towns, just a single line suspended in empty space. We tried to reroute manually. The screen froze. Then it corrected itself, snapping back to the same path, as if rejecting the input. Continue straight for 12 miles. We slowed down. The car behind us had been empty the entire drive. No headlights, no reflections. Until, suddenly, there were lights in the rearview mirror. Distant at first, steady, matching our speed. Relief came quickly. Too quickly. Someone else was here. We waited for the car to pass. It didn't. The distance never changed. When we sped up, it sped up. When we slowed down, it stayed exactly where it was, fixed in the mirror like a reflection that didn't belong to us. The GPS recalculated. The arrival time still didn't change. And then, without warning, the voice spoke again, not with an instruction, but with something else. Stay on the road. That wasn't part of the route guidance. That wasn't something we'd heard before. The headlights behind us flickered once, then disappeared completely, as if someone had turned them off mid-drive. The forest closed in tighter, branches scraping faintly against the sides of the car. The road dipped sharply, then leveled out, revealing another sign ahead. Same number, same damage, same place. That was the moment we stopped thinking we were lost, and started realizing we might not be moving at all.
There were 3 of us in the car. No one extraordinary, no one looking for trouble, just people trying to cut hours off a long drive by taking what the GPS described as a faster route. It was late, well past midnight, the kind of hour where judgment softens and small inconveniences feel heavier than they should. That part matters, because nothing about our decision felt reckless at the time. The highway had thinned gradually, traffic disappearing mile by mile until we were alone. That wasn't unusual. Long stretches of road can empty out late at night, especially in rural areas. We noticed it, but we didn't question it. The radio filled the space instead. Low music, occasional bursts of static that faded when we adjusted the dial. Phone signal came and went. 1 bar, no service, 1 bar again. Each time it dropped, it returned just long enough to reassure us, long enough to keep us from turning around. The GPS remained confident, calm, precise. It spoke as if this road were familiar territory, as if thousands of cars traveled it every night without incident. And because we wanted that to be true, we believed it. Outside the car, the darkness pressed close. Not wide-open night, not distant horizon, but something contained. The trees weren't tall so much as crowded, packed together so tightly that our headlights couldn't reach past the first row. The road surface changed subtly beneath the tires, smooth in places, rough in others, but never broken enough to force us to stop. No houses appeared, no intersections, no other vehicles. At some point, the radio stopped producing music altogether. It wasn't sudden. The signal weakened, voices stretching and warping, then dissolving into static that pulsed softly, rhythmically, almost in time with the road beneath us. We turned it off, expecting the silence to feel calmer. It didn't. Without the radio, every sound inside the car became sharper. Breathing, fabric shifting, the faint hum of the engine. Outside, there was still nothing. No wind through the trees, no animals crossing the road, just the steady reach of the headlights and the narrow strip of pavement they revealed. We checked the time, then checked it again. Only a few minutes had passed. That seemed right, and yet it felt like much longer. The GPS recalculated once more, the same soft chime breaking the quiet. Continue straight. The words landed differently now. Not urgent, not threatening, just firm. And for the first time since turning on to that road, someone asked the question we'd all been avoiding. "How long have we been on this stretch?" No one answered right away, because no one was certain anymore. The GPS recalculated again. Same chime, same pause, same instruction. Continue straight. No mention of distance changing, no update to the arrival time. Still 3 hours away. We watched the numbers closely after that. Miles remaining, estimated time, speed, fuel. Everything suggested forward motion, yet nothing reflected progress. The distance refused to drop, hovering at the same number no matter how long we drove. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The road remained unchanged, and so did the screen. That was when the sign appeared again. It came into view slowly, caught at the edge of the headlights just as before. Same route number, same bent post, same worn patch where the reflective paint had peeled away. Even the angle was identical, leaning slightly toward the road as if it might fall at any moment. We slowed down instinctively. No one spoke while we passed it. When it disappeared behind us, one of us twisted around in the seat, watching through the rear window until it vanished into darkness. There was no intersection, no side road, no curve sharp enough to explain a loop. We checked the dashboard clock. It jumped forward by 1 minute. The GPS recalculated. Continue straight. This time, the voice came faster, as if responding to something we hadn't said out loud. We pulled over. The engine idled smoothly. The fuel gauge still hadn't moved. Headlights illuminated the same stretch of trees we'd been driving through for what felt like far too long. When we stepped out of the car, the air felt flat. Not cold, not warm, and strangely still. Sound didn't carry. Our voices felt close to us, as if absorbed before they could travel. We walked a short distance back. The road behind us was empty. No tire marks, no debris, no sign we had just driven through it. When we got back in the car, the GPS screen refreshed on its own. Same route, same distance, same arrival time. And ahead of us, just beyond where the headlights reached, another reflective surface caught the light. Another sign. How could the same sign appear again when we never turned? We kept driving. That decision wasn't debated. Stopping felt worse than moving, and turning around no longer seemed like an option. The road ahead was at least visible. Behind us, it felt uncertain. For a few minutes, everything settled. The engine sounded steady. The GPS stayed silent. The road stretched forward exactly as it had before. That brief calm almost worked. It let us breathe again. It let us believe the last sign had been coincidence. Then the GPS spoke. We had muted it. The screen still showed the speaker icon crossed out, volume set to 0, and yet the voice came through clearly, evenly, as if the setting didn't apply. Continue straight. No chime, no recalculation screen, just the instruction. We stared at the dashboard, waiting for it to repeat itself. It didn't. Silence returned, thicker than before. Someone reached out and turned the GPS off completely. The screen went dark. For several seconds, nothing happened. Relief came quickly, a sense that whatever had been happening required our permission, our attention. If the device was off, maybe the route no longer existed. The dashboard clock reset itself. Not gradually, not flickering. It jumped backward by an hour. We noticed because the temperature display changed at the same time, briefly flashing an impossible reading before correcting itself. No warning lights came on. The engine didn't react. The car behaved as if nothing had changed. The GPS screen turned itself back on. Same route, same distance, same arrival time. 3 hours away. Ahead of us, far down the road, headlights appeared. They were faint at first, 2 steady points low to the ground. Another car, the first one we'd seen since turning onto this road. Relief returned, stronger this time. Someone else was here. Someone else had chosen this route. We maintained our speed, expecting the car to approach from the opposite direction. It didn't. The headlights stayed fixed in place, not growing brighter, not dimming. Then, slowly, they shifted position, not toward us, but sideways, slipping between the trees to the left of the road. They vanished. Before we could comment, headlights appeared behind us. Close. Too close. They filled the rearview mirror without casting any light into the car. No engine sound followed, no vibration, just the visual presence of a vehicle that matched our speed perfectly, sitting just outside the reach of our taillights. We accelerated. So did it. We slowed. It stayed exactly where it was. The GPS recalculated. Continue straight. Someone laughed, not because it was funny, but because the alternative was harder to deal with. That laughter stopped when one of the phones vibrated. Incoming call. The screen lit up, displaying a contact name that belonged to one of us. The phone was in the cup holder, unlocked, screen facing up, not ringing. The call was coming from inside the car. No one answered. The call stopped on its own. The headlights behind us disappeared instantly, as if they had never been there at all. The road opened slightly, just enough to feel like progress. Trees spaced out, the pavement smoothed, the GPS fell silent. Relief returned again. That relief lasted less than a minute. The dashboard clock reset a second time. This time it jumped forward. The GPS recalculated. Same instruction, same distance, same arrival time. Some people think it was a glitch. I don't, because glitches don't repeat with precision, and they don't wait for you to relax before continuing.
The realization didn't come all at once. It surfaced quietly, almost accidentally, the way important details often do. Someone glanced at the GPS again, not out of panic but habit, and noticed something that should have changed long ago. The arrival time. 3 minutes away. It had said that before. We tried to remember when it first appeared. 10 minutes earlier? 20? No one was sure, so we waited, eyes fixed on the screen, counting the seconds as they passed. The road continued forward. The car moved. The engine ran. Everything suggested progress. The arrival time didn't move. 3 minutes. We drove for another mile, then another. The number stayed the same. The distance remaining flickered once, briefly dropping by a fraction, then correcting itself back to where it had been. 3 minutes away. That was when the fear finally settled in. Not sudden, not explosive, just a heavy understanding that replaced the last traces of confusion. We weren't being delayed. We weren't lost. We weren't circling a large area without realizing it. We were being kept at a fixed point in time. Someone checked the dashboard clock again. It didn't match any of our phones. It didn't match the last time we remembered seeing it. It showed a time none of us could account for. The GPS recalculated. Same route, same voice, same certainty. Continue straight. The words no longer sounded helpful. They sounded corrective, like a response to a mistake. We stopped talking after that. Not because there was nothing to say, but because saying it out loud would have made it real. Each of us understood the same thing at the same moment. If the arrival time never changed, then whatever waited at the end of this road wasn't getting closer. We were. The car behind us never returned. The road signs stopped appearing. The trees pressed in again, closer than before, branches brushing the sides of the car as if measuring it. 3 minutes away. An hour passed like that. Maybe more. By then, the fear wasn't sharp anymore. It was steady, controlled, the kind that makes people careful with every movement, every word, as if something might respond. And something did. The GPS recalculated again. This time, the arrival time changed. It dropped to 2 minutes. No one felt relieved.
We stopped the car because it felt necessary, not logical, necessary. The kind of decision made when continuing forward feels more dangerous than standing still, even when standing still makes no sense. The tires rolled to a halt beside a tree that stood closer to the road than the others. Its trunk was split down the middle, a pale scar visible where the bark had peeled away. The engine idled. No one moved at first. The GPS screen stayed on, glowing softly, still showing the route, 2 minutes away. Someone reached for the ignition and turned the engine off. The silence was immediate. No wind, no insects, no distant traffic. Just the quiet hum of electronics winding down. When we tried to restart the car, nothing happened. No crank, no click, the dashboard didn't light up. It was as if the battery had been removed entirely. We checked the hood. The connections were intact, nothing was loose, nothing looked damaged. The GPS screen stayed on, still 2 minutes away. That was when the argument started. Not shouting at first, short sentences, clipped suggestions, overlapping instructions. Try again, wait a minute, don't touch anything. Someone insisted we should get out and look around. Someone else said we shouldn't leave the car under any circumstances. We compromised by opening the doors. The air outside felt wrong again, flat, dense, soundless. The trees stood motionless, not reacting to our presence at all. The road behind us stretched back into darkness, straight and empty. Someone pointed it out. The split tree. It was behind us. Same pale scar, same shape, same distance from the road. We turned forward. Another split tree stood ahead, identical. The road hadn't curved, there was no intersection, and yet the marker we had stopped beside now existed in both directions. The argument escalated after that. Voices rose, accusations followed. Who suggested this route? Who trusted the GPS? Who decided to stop the car? The words overlapped, louder than necessary, as if volume alone could force the situation to change. One of us stepped out fully. Just a few steps, not far, close enough to touch the car. They said they wanted to check the tree to make sure we weren't confusing ourselves, to prove it wasn't the same one. We watched them walk toward it. Their footsteps made no sound. They reached out and touched the bark, fingers pressing into the pale split. They turned back toward us, mouth open as if to say something, and then they weren't there. No movement, no transition, no space where they should have been. Just absence. The argument stopped instantly. We called their name once, then louder. The sound fell short, swallowed by the air before it reached the trees. We scanned the road, the forest, the space beside the car. Nothing. The GPS recalculated. 1 minute away. The car doors slammed shut almost in unison. Someone turned the ignition again. The engine started. No hesitation, no struggle, as if nothing had been wrong. The GPS spoke. Continue straight. We didn't discuss it. We didn't ask where the missing person had gone. We didn't look back at the trees. The road head narrowed again, guiding us forward, the headlights illuminating the same stretch of pavement we had already seen too many times. In the rearview mirror, for just a moment, someone sat in the back seat. Then, the mirror went dark.
The road ended without warning. Not with a sign, not with an intersection. It simply widened, the trees pulling back as abruptly as they had closed in, and the pavement smoothed beneath the tires. Streetlights appeared again, spaced evenly, familiar, ordinary. The GPS chimed once more and displayed a final update. Arrived. The time changed, the distance disappeared, the route ended as if it had always been meant to. We didn't stop driving. It wasn't until dawn that we did. Morning light revealed a stretch of normal highway, complete with reflective markers, exit numbers, and traffic moving at a steady pace. The forest that had pressed against us hours earlier was gone, replaced by open land and fencing. No split trees, no narrow lanes, no signs without destinations. We checked the GPS history. There was no reroute, no deviation, no alternate road recorded. According to the device, we had remained on the main highway the entire time. The route showed clean, uninterrupted progress from where we started to where we ended. No gaps, no detours, no missing time. We searched for the road later, in daylight, on foot, with maps open and coordinates saved.
We drove the same stretch multiple times, slowing down at every possible turn, every access road, every service path. Nothing matched. Satellite maps showed no narrow road cutting through the forest, no unmarked route, no place where the highway could have thinned into what we remembered. Historical imagery showed the same thing, the highway intact for years, unchanged. We checked older maps, paper maps, county records. There was no record of the road, no construction history, no decommissioned route, no explanation for how a car could drive for hours through a place that didn't exist. The GPS device was replaced. The phone that received the call from inside the car was wiped and reset. The car itself showed no damage, no unusual mileage, no mechanical issues. There was only one inconsistency. 3 people left that night. 2 returned. And according to every official record we could find, the missing person had never been on that trip at all. No text messages, no location data, no proof they were ever in the car. The maps agreed, the GPS agreed, daylight agreed. Only we didn't. Because every now and then, when driving at night, the GPS still hesitates, just for a moment, and when it does, we don't wait to hear.
There's a detail we never talk about. Not publicly, not even with each other. When we replaced the GPS, we didn't restore any old data. No saved routes, no synced accounts. It was a new device, installed weeks later, long after the incident had faded into something we tried to label as exhaustion or stress. But on the first night drive after that, the screen hesitated. Just for a second. The route line flickered, then corrected itself, as if adjusting to something it briefly recognized. The arrival time updated, then disappeared. No instruction followed, no alert, just silence. We turned it off immediately, because some roads don't appear on maps for a reason. And if your GPS ever reroutes you onto a road you don't recognize, don't follow it.
If you're still listening, take a moment to consider why. Most people would have clicked away by now. They would have decided it was coincidence, or fatigue, or a technical failure they didn't need to think about anymore. But some details linger. They stay with you because they resemble something you've already experienced, a road that felt longer than it should have, a device that hesitated, a moment where progress didn't match reality. Those are the moments that matter. If you've ever been on a drive where the time didn't make sense, where the distance refused to change, or where the route felt wrong in a way you couldn't explain, document it. Not to prove anything, not to convince anyone, just to record it. Leave it in the comments, exactly as it happened, small details included. Those are the details people recognize later. And if this account held your attention, not because it was shocking, but because it felt careful, because it felt like something that could happen, consider subscribing. This channel doesn't exist to dramatize fear. It exists to preserve stories that are usually dismissed, simplified, or forgotten. Accounts told without embellishment, without shortcuts, just sequences of events left intact. New stories are shared regularly. Each one is researched, structured, and presented the same way, slowly, deliberately, and without telling you what to believe. Because the most unsettling stories aren't the ones that end loudly. They're the ones that make you more cautious the next time your GPS pauses, the next time the road narrows, the next time you're told to continue straight.